On the front porch, once again, visits with a very special group of people. We had a chance not long ago to kind of introduce you to the Konza student table. And now we get a chance to revisit with this group because we're celebrating a big birthday. It's the 1-year anniversary of this program and this mission taking off. And I'll let this group give you more details, but I'll just tell you this much. They have gone over the 20,000 meal mark. And that is amazing, I think, and the future is still bright and the energy is still there. And I think it's just absolutely amazing what this group has been able to get started, but also to continue moving forward. We have several we're going to be introducing you to today, but we're going to start with a chance to talk with Father Gail Hammerschmidt and with Vicki James. Father Gail is with St. Isidore's, where the Konza student table takes place each week. I had a chance this summer one time to go volunteer. I know my wife and I will be back again. It was really an amazing experience to see the students themselves and their reaction. You guys had talked about it during our last interview, but to actually see it in person was fantastic. Vicki James is with us, coordinator for the Food and Farm Council of Riley County and City of Manhattan. And let's start by saying good morning to each of you, but also food insecurity is something that is a nationwide problem. We addressed it and commented on it before in our interview prior, but this is something that I think some people aren't aware how much of a concern it is for students and their families in this area. And Kansas State has certainly shown it is an issue, and it's great that you guys are addressing it. I guess, Vicki, I'll start with you once again. I know you started the ball rolling on this, as Father Gail would say. I think it was that you beat him up until finally everybody caved in and made it happen. But Vicki, talk about this being the 1-year anniversary and hitting that 20,000 meal mark and what this thing has meant to you.
Good morning, Rocky, and boy, I'm excited to be back a year later with this team sitting here to visit about this issue. The Food and Farm Council was publicly appointed by city and county commissioners 3 years ago. So that's another celebration we have. And one of our concerns was food insecurity. Now, our county itself has about the rate of food insecurity between 13.5% and 14% food insecurity, and that was pre-COVID. So if you think about all the challenges that COVID brought with job loss, illness, and on, that's a pretty significant food insecurity rate here in our county. One of the reasons that that's significant is that we have a military base and we have a university. So when you have a transient population like that, then it tends to give you additional challenges. So then you begin to look at the university and what's the correlation with food insecurity. Across the country, we find that food insecurity is a significant problem in trying to make sure that students have the best success that they can. So we did not want food insecurity to be a barrier to student success. So that led us in looking to see what might be possible. And that's also when we looked at a statistic where K-State students were involved. So the American College Health Association did a survey, and they did one several years ago, which the campus was involved with. And in 2020, right before we went hybrid with the university, they did another survey. So we had about 1,400 students that participated in that survey. And the result was about 40% of those students that were surveyed indicated some level of either medium or high food insecurity. So that triggered us into action to begin to look. We were already looking, but we were looking for a site that would be near campus, that would feel comfortable for the students, would feel like it was centrally located, easy for walking a distance, and would have the support that they needed. And that's what led us to Father Gail and St. Isidore's, because we could confirm that this was a problem, especially when survey was done saying right here on campus, it's our own issue that we need to come together and deal with.
Father Gail, I guess, talk about the idea coming to you and then the church deciding this is something you would want to take on. And then I think on top of that, if you could back it up with what you thought would happen with this, and did you have any idea it would be going this strong still a year later?
Right. So It's as if when Vicki arrived with her suggestion or her question, it wasn't necessarily that she had to beat me up until I submitted to doing what she wanted. It was actually something that we had wanted. Our team had been hoping to figure something out like this. We didn't have the capacity per se to figure out all the logistics ourselves. And then Vicki arrived and said, "What would you think about this?" And I remember thinking to myself, I love it. I love everything about it. I had been on a probably 2-year tour of Kansas and beyond, raising money for our new building. We had to increase the size of our building because we just were bursting at the seams and our old building was falling apart. And so I've been raising a lot of money. And I knew all the time, all along, I knew that I couldn't just be raising money to be building a beautiful structure to celebrate ourselves, because the whole idea of why we exist as Christians is to serve others, especially those most in need. It's just the basic principles of Christianity, is to be Jesus Christ to those in need. And so then Vicki arrives and says, "Here's what I'm thinking." And I said, "We're in. We are in. We're not sure how it's going to work, but we trust that the Lord will bless this, and so let's do it." And quickly he blessed it. I know we even have some of our lead donors with us today who also saw this vision as something that would be a worthwhile endeavor to undertake. I was surprised at the level of food insecurity for Kansas State students, especially on the international side. When we talk about our international students, we didn't know. We knew that we were going to try and do it for a semester as we were still grappling heavily with COVID. This was the summer of 2020 when this thing starts. And we said, at least for a while, we're going to hang in there. Maybe it's just a 6-month program. We'll see. We're in for a year, 20,000 meals, still going strong. We're not quitting anytime soon.
Yeah, it's fantastic. How many organizations, Vicki, are really involved in making this happen?
Well, you have several right here this morning. And that was one of the things when I first went to Father Gale and I said, we have to look at partnerships and relationships. So we're going to have to expand this so that we can cover this. Then we're going to have to create awareness to bring in more partners and build those relationships. We want the students to be aware and have access. And then it's going to take operations. We're going to have to figure out how to manage this. So that's when we began to look at our friends on the university campus, that this was already their thing. This is what they're good at. Housing and dining, feed thousands of people. Kelly and her team are excellent at that. And I was really aware of Erica Bauer and Lacey's Fresh Fare and Catering because of my involvement with the college already and the hospitality management program. So how cool to look at students being able to have part of their everyday classroom work be hands-on of food prep and service to students. That was just too cool. So I told Father Gale, we've already got these on-campus folks, that this is their thing. We've got a lot of students in different programs that are going to want to volunteer and be part of this, which will also be kind of a community service. And we need to look at donors. So how can that be, again, community, university involved? We've got people that are involved in marketing. And we've got Jenny on here today, who's been a longtime friend, but she's one of the best in the business when it looks at how do you market and promote this sort of thing so it's successful. So it just was a matter of looking around at who has the passion, the care, and has the expertise to build this. So I don't know how many partnerships we have now. It comes and goes. I've had a few weeks when Erica and team couldn't fulfill the catering. So we've had Sodexo filled in. Wingstop, thanks to the Morrisons, has been involved with us. And so we keep building those. And there isn't any, partnership we wouldn't probably invite to be along. The media, people like you have been gracious. Lots more community volunteers. So week after week now, we have more people from different businesses and different walks of life want to be involved. So it just keeps growing.
Before we move on to our next segment, how many does it take a night on a Wednesday night volunteers to pull this off? Is there a magic number?
I would say when we're kind of at our max of work, it's approximately 20. Now, when we look around the tent and there's 4 here and 4 here, I'm on the phone to Jenny going, can you spare a volunteer? We're a little short over here. Traffic control is really important. We have to have a couple of folks out there getting the cars going where they need to go. And we're talking about ramping up the number of volunteers over at Anna's walk-up tent, as we call it. Just because we're busy, we want this to be efficient. We want it to be safe. So I'd say 20 is pretty much what we need week in and week out. So we encourage people that are going to see this, if you want to participate, we're welcoming more volunteers all the time.
And they volunteer how?
We have a Sign Up Genius link, and it's really easy, Rocky, and I'm sure you'll put that in with your information, but that's the easiest way to go there, and you can sign up for different things. You can sign up to help Erica and her students actually package up the food on Wednesday mornings over at Justin Hall, if you can do that. And you have to be connected to the university. Let me say that to be part of going into the kitchen and doing that, you have to have a university connection. So students, faculty, staff can be part of that. You can certainly help lift those crates and get the food loaded up, and help Kelly and Jenny do that over at Justin about 4:30. And then you can help at either one of the drive-up tents or the walk-up tent. We got like people there at 5 and start at 5:30. So again, that's why it takes about 20 folks. So going to that Sign Up Genius, and you'll see week after week those different jobs, and you can plug yourself in there. If something changes and you need to pop out, you can do that. Sign back up for another week.
Great. We're on the front porch today, and again, visiting with part of the team, a large part of the team of the Konza Student Table. And I want to shift gears just a little bit. I know Erica Bauer is with us, and she's on a timeline, so we'll do the best we can to get you to your students. You don't want them to be late. Obviously, you can't be tardy either. And then we also have Kelly Whitehair back with us once again. And I know we talked with you guys before, but maybe people don't understand that this is not only help for students, but it's student driven, which I think is just phenomenal, that the students get to help their fellow students. So Kelly, I guess I'll start with you and kind of talk about the logistics of making that happen, and the different departments that are involved in making it happen at K-State.
Sure. I think we've been really lucky. Things have just kind of fallen into our lap a little bit with the departments like Vicki was mentioning, with housing and dining and Lacey's and St. Isidore's and other departments on campus. Our biggest thing is marketing and communication. I think getting the word out there that we're here, and we need students to help feed these students. We can't do it with just the people on this call right now. We've been really lucky that our students spread the word for us. But I also think it's the fact that once they do it, they realize how gracious these students are that are coming through our lines. And I think that gives them a little something inside to want to come back and do it again. I think that helps them want to motivate their friends to come help, for their community groups to come help, their families. We have families that'll adopt a night. We've had a 4-H group adopt a night. So it doesn't have to be just on the singular level. You can bring anybody you want to help come in and help volunteer.
Eric, I know that you were there the night we volunteered, and I have a feeling you're there often, just enjoying what your department's making happen, and to see those students and their reactions. It was amazing to me. You guys talked about it, but to see it in person is a whole different feeling.
Oh yeah, every night I try to get over there as often as I can. I am a PhD student as well, so I do have some other commitments outside of this. But I try to get over there because, you know, I like to see the students. I like to meet them. I like to chat with them, see where they're from, see what they're doing, how their week is, and answer any questions about the food that's being served. You know, maybe they have an allergen, or, you know, they're concerned about a certain item being in there. And I'm always around, you know, I try to, not always, but most of the time I'm around, and they're able to ask those questions of me, and try to, you know, make sure that they're accommodated as best they can. And, you know, that night you were there for service, it was a pretty warm one. And I remember you and the Morrisons over there sweating and handing out food all night. So it was quite an experience for you guys to be there. And we're grateful for you guys for participating.
Yeah, and as I said, we definitely have plans to be back. Your motto, we talked about it before, but students preparing food for students to serve fellow students. It's a great motto, and Kelly, I think you mentioned how much it means to those who can help. what you guys serve is kind of blows my mind too. It's not just putting a sandwich and chips and something together. I mean, it's a meal to be envious of. How do you come up with the ideas, and where did it grow from the beginning to what's happened now with this program? Either of you can address that, I guess.
So one of the areas that we wanted to market towards was the international students on our campus. So when I decided to compose the menus for this, I thought about our international students. I said, hey, where are these individuals coming from? What are they looking for? And all of the different aspects of being an international student. So when you come to the States and you're far away from home, one of the things that makes you feel comfortable and comforted is having a meal. A tasty meal brings you back home and gives you that joy to continue on and to keep trying. So I composed my menus based upon our international enrollment. I contacted our international office here on the campus and found out where all of our international students are coming from, and able to prepare meals from their specific home countries. It may not be something that is true to them, but it's from their home country, so it's going to have the flavor profile that they're looking for. So tomorrow we're actually going to have a coconut chicken curry. I wanted it to be a Sri Lankan chicken curry, but due to what's going on in the food service distribution, I wasn't able to get the appropriate spices in. So we're just going to alter that slightly, but that's just part of the business. You have to go with what you've got. And, designing the menu and going with it, my students enjoy it. The ones that are preparing the meals, they get to come in and try different food options that they've never had before in their life, and most likely will never have again in their life. And it opens their palates. It allows them to be creative and enjoy the experience as well.
Yeah, it's a great experience, and I think on both sides, international students get a touch of home, and students from around this area or around the States all of a sudden get to experience something they may have never had the opportunity to do. I know that your departments are a huge part of this. I think some of the telling thoughts that this program is such a success is that there are more departments wanting to be involved. You're starting to see that more and more. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. We want to expand in the future. It may be necessary to have additional partners as well if we end up having to do more than one night in the future or something like that, if funds and the need become present. And so Eric has done a great job of partnering with other academic units that deal with food as well. So I know she's worked with the Bakery Science Club and some other departments on campus as well to provide those experiences. She's also mentioned how she has to deal with the issues. This is real life. We try to maintain some nutritional standards as well. We try to make sure we're providing, 3 ounces of protein, some fruits and vegetables, some whole grains each and every week. So she's not only providing a comforting meal, but it's something that can nurture these students beyond just the meal. It's helping their academics, so they're healthier, they're able to be more aware and more involved. We also provide a little bit of family, I think, and community too when they come through the lines. The little kids in the back seat are like high-fiving Vicky through the window, and the dogs are barking at me, and they get to know us. So I believe we're providing a little bit of socialization to these students that may not always have that as well.
It was fun to see, you mentioned the children and also the dogs. It was fun to see how many puppies come through the line with their owners. It's very, very cool. One more thought for you guys, Eric. I know that the price per meal blew my mind too, because what you're putting together is a real meal, plus a round back breakfast for the next morning. But the cost that you guys put in, you keep it as affordable as you possibly can so that the donors' monies go a long way.
That's one of my considerations every week when I plan a menu is how much is this going to cost? Because we obviously have a significant amount of donors that can contribute, but we also want to create the longevity of this program. If I maintain my costs at a lower rate, then therefore we can continue the program for a longer period of time. So we're always mindful of how much items cost. And right now, I think my average is right around like $3.80 a meal that goes out. So, I try to do my best because it creates, a reason for donors to continue to contribute, because we're able to extend the program and make sure that we're using their monies appropriately and we're not wasting their money on, something else that wouldn't really matter. So we take all of those considerations in when we want to make a change or an alteration to our program.
Yeah, well, it's great stuff. Thank you both for your departments and your solution mindedness to continue to move this thing forward. It really is fantastic. And Erica, did we get you on schedule to your students? Are we okay?
We're okay with my students because they're about to come in and help me prepare all of the meals for tomorrow.
Awesome.
And then also we're opening our restaurant tomorrow for Lacey's for the first day of service. So we've got a lot of prep work and a lot of busyness going on in there today.
Terrific.
So thank you very much.
Erica, Kelly, thank you guys so much. Let's slide back over as we visit on the front porch with the team of the Konza student table. And we've mentioned donors, and there are several, I mean, a lot of people that have contributed, but a couple that have been a big part of really getting this thing going. We mentioned Charlie and Debbie Morrison earlier. I think Father Gale brought up their names. And Debbie, good to see you again. Welcome back to share your story. We also have Denise Schneider with us. They have been donors for the Konza student table. Debbie, I'll start with you because I know the last time we had you on, you shared, I thought, a terrific moment about what you dealt with as a student and as students, being you and Charlie, and that the food industry has given you opportunities, and now you're given the opportunity to give back to those who may be dealing with the same insecurities you did as a K-State student. I guess kind of share that again with our listeners.
Well, great. Thanks, Rocky. It's great to be back. So I was a first generation college student myself, putting myself through college, working two jobs and going to school. And then down the road, I met Charlie, we fell in love, and we were married and had our first child our senior year of college on a very limited means. So if Konza Table had been around then, we definitely would have benefited from it. But it wasn't. So we did what we had to do, and we made a lot of sacrifices. And a lot of that was some of the college experience. When Father Gale approached us last year with this idea, it was a no-brainer for us. We are involved because, first of all, I'll say it's the Holy Spirit that draws us to St. Isidore's. The love and the faith that's going on there in the church right offside the campus is amazing. Through COVID, we were watching Father Gale from Texas, and I don't tell my priest this, but more than I was here in South Lake, Texas. But it's just the spirit, the kids coming and packing the church, and they go out and they serve. And if, as a Christian, that's what we're told to do. We're told to be the hands and the feet of Christ for those unfortunate. And as a person who understands food insecurity, it's kind of stuck with me my whole life since college. I've been involved in food pantries, Meals on Wheels for seniors, and I still involved in that and had my children working along with me doing it, volunteering. So this is a perfect fit for our family, especially since we're in the food industry, and knowing the effect not just of the food, but the amount of care that we all have for all of our students. We're the K-State family. And I don't think there's another college out there who can really claim to be the family we are.
Very well put, and I couldn't agree more. And I'll be honest with you, Deb, we were watching Father Gale and his crew during COVID quite a bit too. And you're right, the energy that they have and that the students feed off of back and forth is really fantastic. Denise, I know that you also are a donor. I guess share with us how this came to you and maybe some of your inspiration to want to be a part of it.
Well, you know, Charlie and Debbie approached my husband, Rob, and I. Rob grew up in Ellsworth and went to K-State. He also was a first generation college graduate and, you know, had very little growing up as well. And he was able to go to KSU due to scholarships and, you know, the generosity of people that decided to make a difference in someone else's life. So fortunate. So we've tried to perpetuate that and done scholarships and been involved in the mentoring programs and the parent board, and just really felt fortunate that we could give back. And this is such an important, often unsaid topic. And I think, you know, the children are vulnerable and they're overwhelmed and they're in a new environment and they have issues and they don't know who to ask or where to go. And this is just such an incredible program. We just feel very fortunate that Charlie and Debbie brought us on board.
Yeah, well, and to get on board and to make it happen is super. One of the things that I think sounds a little strange, but I think is very true. A lot of people don't want to go to a handout. They just, pride gets in the way, whatever the case may be. And I think all of you have made it very important to know that this is not a handout, it's a help. And the people that have been involved and you guys that have donated and really got this thing going, are you surprised at all how successful it is? Really, there has to be some surprise to almost everybody that 20,000 meals have happened in a year and it's still going extremely strong. And from international students to those in the area, anyone who needs a meal knows every Wednesday they get something very top notch. And it's become, I think, something that the university and everyone that family atmosphere can really take pride in. You guys have any idea it was going to take off like this, Deb?
You know, I didn't think it would. I had no idea it would take off like this, but I'm not surprised because as my colleagues have said earlier, the students who come through have really built a relationship, and even the students who are serving, there is no stigma. You know, we're excited that we're helping. I'd much rather be helping somebody than to have this food sitting here and no one coming through out of fear of worrying about who's going to see them. It is true compassion. And let's just be honest, there's a lot of people who could be in this position of needing a help, just missing one paycheck. And COVID really brought that to light for a lot of people. A lot of these kids had jobs. They were going to be in positions they wouldn't need any help or assistance. And jobs went away because of COVID last year. And it's made it difficult on a lot of different things. So I'm not really that surprised, but I'm excited and look forward to seeing just how many students can come back and say what a difference this made and kept them in college. Let's be honest, Manhattan would be lost without our college students. And so we need to do what we can to keep our college students there and help them get a degree and move on to turn around to help out the next set of students.
Yeah. Denise, I'll ask you, we talk about students' food insecurities. What a relief for the families back home. Don't you believe as well to know that their student who may be struggling with finances has something they can count on every week?
Absolutely. We live outside of Chicago and across from our local middle school. And we're doing the same thing. They're handing out meals once a week. And you just see the cars lined up there and in front of our local library. And, you know, at least there they have a family that they can sort of talk to. But, you know, the students come and in a lot of ways they're alone. And perhaps their roommate doesn't have these struggles. And so then it's even more, you know, you're even feel more alone. And I just think it's so wonderful that and important in this day and age that other students recognize the need to help each other, because if we don't ask, we don't know. And, you know, just to hear these stories, it's, you know, it is the reason we're all here, to help each other and do as much as we possibly can. So we're overwhelmed. We're overwhelmed and proud to be part of it.
Well, and you should be, and it's a big thank you to the donors who get things rolling, and then everything else can kind of gain momentum off of it. Denise, Deb, thanks again for joining us and sharing your thoughts on the Konza student table. We do want to move on the front porch to, we've heard about marketing and promoting, and Jennifer Retley Thomas is joining us. She's a big part of that. We have Vicki James back with us, and we have a student and volunteer for St. Isidore's as Anna Biggins join us. So good perspectives here from different angles, I guess. Jennifer, we'll start with you. You were tasked with the idea of promoting this, and yeah, word of mouth is going to happen, but you need to get more than just word of mouth out there. What were your first thoughts on getting this thing going?
Well, I'm going to go back to Vicki and Father when we started this conversation 30 minutes ago, and I think the one thing that's important to recognize is from the time that the two of them had a conversation, we were basically up and running in 3 weeks. And, you know, that goes to the commitment, first of all, of the donors that were willing to invest and the volunteers that came together so quickly. it was important at that point to be able to start reaching out, thinking about Vicky's connections with the community. There are several of us on this call today that have connections with the university. And so really trying to bring those two segments together to make sure that most importantly, we're communicating to our student populations as well as to the community for their awareness as well. It was a great idea. I believe, Vicki, you had brought them on, a couple of members of our student governing association that were sitting on some of those food insecurity boards, as well as getting Cat's Cupboard involved, so that there was really no stone unturned as far as of how we could communicate appropriately. And I think we've only hit the beginning. I think as we continue to have more awareness, and I always pause when I use this word, have success. It's really hard when we're talking about food insecurity to talk and celebrate success, because that means that the trends that Vicki mentioned earlier, right, are continuing to rise. But on the same hand, the community and the donors and the university and all of that have come together to help make a dent in that. So I think through the continued awareness, through these types of interviews, and we see some great opportunities in the future for continuing to share this story. Who knows where this program may go? And even more importantly, how we can continue to model the way for other communities or universities that are fighting the same issue.
Yeah, a dent in it is, I know exactly where you're coming from. It is, that is a successful move to make a dent in it. So well put. Anna, as a student's perspective on this, and I know you're a volunteer through St. Isidore's with the program, give us an idea what this means to you and to your fellow students, I guess, also.
Right, yeah. Well, I first started volunteering with Konza Student Table just because of my background in nutrition and dietetics, and especially now as I'm studying public health, there's always been that passion for food security. And so the more I started to come back week after week, it just affirmed how good it is to be a part of something that's bigger than myself. That kind of, just shifts your mindset into taking my mind off of my degree and my progress and my success in college, but turning it around into recognizing that my life is not about me. And so I think that's been really important to me, just being able to look forward to something every Wednesday where I have this opportunity to not only connect with community members in Manhattan, but spend time with students who I wouldn't normally get to interact with outside of my program.
I know, from my vantage point, when I volunteered, the looks on the faces of these students, I'm thinking these kids are getting a meal, and it's a relief, it's a joy. They were excited. As a fellow student, it has to be even more heartwarming, I would think, for you to see your fellow people having these thoughts.
It is, it really is. And it's something where, after I've been doing this for about a year now, and we have people who are regulars every week. And so getting to see other students and say, hey, how was your week? Or how'd your test go last week? I know you've been studying for that. And just catching up with them and getting to see familiar faces. It is such a joy to meet those students and connect with them through this program.
Yeah, fantastic. So where does the Konza Student Table go going forward? We're a year in, your anniversary. Congratulations again. We've hit that 20,000 meal mark we talked about, and it's rising. That number is. It will, of course, this week. What's the future? How do you sustain the momentum that you've been able to keep going to this point? Vicki, thoughts on where you're going forward?
I think it will continue to be driven by the fact that this is a need, and it has been a need. So I think people that say, oh, this is going to go away once COVID levels out, that's probably a very naive thought. Food insecurity was a problem on this campus and other campuses before COVID. So I think we need to continue to see this as a long-range problem, and we need to find some ways to have some sustainable solutions. So this is one night a week, and we can look at it from the standpoint of we lessen the stress a little bit for those students. Those are $5 or more that they have for something else. And beyond that, though, Rocky, it's that relationship building. think we've built a true family. It's a trust. There's a willingness for us on our part. We listen. We hand out resource sheets. We've helped students with where to go to get a tire fixed and medical issues and on and on. So that relationship building, this program, I think we don't know where this can go. It's been alluded to, another night a week, might need different caterers for capacity, another location on campus. The International Student Center has been really involved in helping promote this because so many of those students can't go home. They're too far away. They don't have the dollars. So that's not something that's going to go away anytime soon. And also the fact that our university is a key part of this community. And we also got to remember, these students, we want to graduate and be the #1 out there in the employment market internationally. So not just here locally, but we want them out there everywhere. So it's a challenge, I think, back to our community to make sure that this program can continue. I'd like to see it also in the future add things such as service learning opportunities. Anna's a great example, but there are many of these students that can go out into communities in the future and give back. And wouldn't that be cool that all started because they drove through a line and got a meal. Then they helped to volunteer, and now they're out helping other communities just to make it a better place to help reduce food insecurity. Job training. I think Erica has the opportunity. She's helping, really got something going there. So there's a lot of skill building and probably other things like that that we could do in the future with education. Cat's Cupboard, I know that's part of their focus, is that they want to help provide not just an opportunity to come in and get shelf-stable items. They're maybe growing that into some fresh items, but also resource support. So again, to help students be the most successful they can. So I think the sky's the limit where this can go. And this core team will continue to need more and more partners to help that to happen.
Yeah, for sure. As we start to wrap up our visit on the front porch, I thought we'd go to Deb and Denise as former students or members of your family, former students that know what it's like to deal with this, and then to be able to help out. I guess speak to maybe others that have thought about donating, big or small, and why they should join you guys in helping this program. Deb?
You know, Rocky, Charlie and I have been blessed. We've done well, and we've given back to a lot of different charities. And one of the things I look at is just what percentage of what we give actually goes into the hands of those we're trying to help. And this is one of those places where 100% of what you give goes into helping those who are needing the help. So I feel so good about anything I give that I know there's nothing going to waste. If anything, we're stretching dollars further than a lot of other charities are able to do. So I'm so proud of that. And this team is the one who's doing that. So anyone else out there who wants to know that they're making a difference, this is a way of opening the door for some of those students. And just like Vicki said, it's a gateway for those who need help to help, to give back, and to help those behind them. And so it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, excellent. Denise?
You know, I would echo what Debbie says, and I just think, you know, it's a paying it forward, and we're so lucky, but to see what you're doing and see where your donation goes, it's visibly making a difference, and it's people pitching in and working hard because we have that passion, and that's our duty in life, to help as many as we can in as many ways as we can. And it's a blessing to all the little fingers that stretch out and all the ripples. It's a ripple effect that I think affects our children, in that they see us donating our time, donating our resources, and they get involved, and we're perpetuating this hopefully through generations. Yeah. So it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, excellent. Anna, as a student, maybe there are students that have thought, you know, I I've thought about going and volunteering and helping, but do I really want to? Maybe speak to them that this is something they really would have fun doing and would be paying back to themselves.
Absolutely. I would recommend this experience to any student at K-State. As students, we may not have the money to donate, but we can make the time in our schedules to donate, to give back to other students. And it is so much fun having this crew working together every week, meeting other students. And there's just, a lot of fun to be had at these volunteer events. So I would recommend it to any student who's interested in getting out there and coming out to help.
Right on. Kelly, what are things that maybe your departments need, or are there certain suggestions that can be brought to you? I know the donors are such a huge part of just getting things going, but anything that your departments could really need in other ways?
I think sometimes we probably overlook what we need because we're so focused on making sure we're providing these meals to those that are in need. I think just hands. Sometimes it's just the volunteer bodies. We don't want to burn out those that volunteer with us either, because we also know that it's not always easy work unloading all these meals and handing them out. People have things to do on Wednesday evenings. So I think getting the word out for us, some free marketing maybe is what I'm hinting at a little bit, getting that word out there, spreading it on your social media pages for us, that we need volunteers, that we need donors, that we may need other partners in the future as backup caterers. If our numbers keep going up, Lacey's can only handle so much as well. So knowing that there's other operations and other parts of our community that might want to be a part of this, I think would be super helpful for us.
Yeah, for sure. Jennifer, so our listeners are hearing this or viewing this and thinking, I want to learn more. Where are the places they can go to learn more?
Yes. So the one thing that we would love for you to share is our Konza Student Table Facebook page. So that is one of the places that we provide some updates, but also we have the Sign Up Genius as part of that thread. So that is a great place to go. They can also reach out to any of us, myself, and Father Gale. So we are all here to help answer questions about the program. And as Kelly said, and Vicki said, we don't know what the future holds, but we know that we're going to see this need continue. And so partnerships and the word of mouth is really critical right now for us to continue to sustain and grow.
We'll be sure and share that and ask our listeners to share and share and share and let it grow and grow and grow. Father Gale, I know that you welcomed this opportunity, something that you guys had been thinking of and just didn't have a way to execute it, maybe, when Vicki came to you. How rewarding is it to see what this has become in 1 year? I say that's almost like it's a short amount of time. It's a tremendous accomplishment to celebrate 1 year, but we know it's still going forward. How rewarding is it for you?
Obviously, it's incredibly rewarding. One of the things that's rewarding for me is just that even this crew that you see our faces here on this screen, these are my friends that really, some of them I didn't even know 14 months ago. And so here now we've got networking going on. These international students, these are people from so many different cultures who can at least see me staying out there. I mostly direct traffic, go this way, go that way. And as they drive in, they see me and I can be a friendly face. And so for me, I think there's a reward as well in saying, hey, I'm a representative of Jesus Christ here on earth. And he was somebody that maybe I'd like to tell you more about. And so that's who I am in my being. And so I'm happy to just try and be as he was in whatever little way I can. It's incredible. It's incredible for me to see this, to know that, and that I can trust as well. I didn't know if this was going to happen, but the donors that have jumped on board have made it happen. Sometimes I don't trust as much as I should, and people have to just point out my past and say, but look what has happened, trust more. And so I do, I continue to trust as we walk into the future. Even, well, how long will this last? As long as we have the resources to make it last. And so when you jump on board as well, Rocky, to say, let me get the word out, then, okay, this helps us to make it last. And so we're very grateful, very rewarding, but also incredibly grateful.
Vicki, I guess final thoughts for our listeners and for this group? We know it's going forward. It's a year in. What are your final thoughts for people just as we go forward?
Final thoughts are that Kansas State University is a beloved university to all of us, and we care deeply about those students. And I think the students driving through or walking through know that. They know that we care. And to see how much they are grateful. I've said before, Wednesday night is my night to enjoy and embrace giving back. So for those that think our university students are this, that, and the other, I see a side of our university students that's very amazing, very, very impressed. So it's just that caring and making a difference. You can't explain it unless you participate. So that's why if people want to volunteer, come and see that. That's when you have someone, you ask them about how's your week been, and they immediately start telling you their challenges, their successes, or a young man worried about his family in Afghanistan. I mean, your heart just drops. An engaged couple that bring you a $50 bill and say, this has meant the world to us to get through this last year, and this is what we can afford to give back. I mean, those are the things that we just can't emphasize enough, that this is a program that cares, and it's here to stay as long as there's a need, and we don't want to get short-sighted and say, oh, that need's going to go away anytime soon. It's there. So we just really appreciate all the help, and this team is amazing.
I would agree. This team is amazing. Thanks to each and every one of you for what you have accomplished to this point and what you still will be accomplishing in the years ahead if the need is there. Thanks to each of you for joining us on the front porch. I will definitely share all of the anything I can on social media, and we'll try to get our partners to share that and just build and build and build as you guys have done from the start. 1 year ago this week, the Konza student table on the front porch.